is your favorite cat. What am I doing with my hands? It is your favorite cat, Chasm, back for another video. And before we start this video, I need to apologize because the chair that I am sitting on is very noisy because it's not supposed to be a chair. It's like supposed to be a decorative stool, but it's like the perfect height, so you're gonna have to deal with every now and then. And also my little necklace does it makes noises. But in today's video, we are reading a spooky spaghetti, a creepypasta, a disturbing, I can't think of a pasta that starts with a D. All that's coming into my head is al dente, and that is not a pasta. It is how you want your pasta cooked, but it's not a pasta. So we're gonna read a spooky spaghetti. It is called His Majesty. It is submitted by Peter Allen. I heard this on last podcast on the left. They read it, Marcus read it, and the sounds that were in it, like, not even just the imagery itself is pretty good, but ew, excuse me, the imagery itself is pretty good, but like the sounds are good. So let's get right into it. It's called His Majesty. My arrival at the palace is heralded by a procession of scuttling, hunched figures robed in tattered finery, hoisting my banners, playing all assortments of discordant instruments through their lipless, decayed jaws. Behind them, I ride in my cabin, topped with leathery flags and tarps, perched in the crook of my mount's enormous black carapace, as it froths at the mouth and lashes its tendrils all the marchers ahead of us. Like, what? That whole sentence was beautiful. We journey across the wastelands for days on end, accompanied always by the constant discordant blaring of the marchers. The palace doors tower over us, slowly pulling aside with a hideous, grinding noise. The gates lift, and the guards are calmed from their frothing rage into allowing us passage to the inner sanctum. I'm gonna hold this. The halls loom over us, deathly quiet and dark, stretching beyond what the eye can see in darkness. Shapes move in the gaps between the stone pillars, vast and indistinct. After marching for hours, we arrive at the center, coming upon the court of His Majesty himself, seated at their stone desks, squabbling at one another in warped voices, gibbering incoherently, clicking their mandibles and staring out from their veiled and hooded robes. At the center of the assembly, His Majesty stands, draped in jewelry and furs, wrapped in silken robes, waiting for the crowd to settle. As quiet falls and the court assembles, His Majesty raises his fifth head to address the audience, speaking in 7 separate languages and in notations and intonations from each of his mouths. His interpreter scrambles around the court, announcing to all that His Majesty welcomes the guests to his halls, saying that they are welcome to his hospitality and that they will discuss over a meal provided by him. At this, servants drag in platters full of food and drink, with sinewy and see a show in the court. At piping of the guards, I turned to leave, saying my goodbyes in the elder language. They smile from behind their carapaces, amused by my arrogance. Hours pass in my absence. In the sanctum, all is silent. The guards themselves turn to leave, superstition guiding their uneven footfalls on the tiles of the court. They know better than to rouse the elite from their eons-long slumber. The world is not ready for them to return. In the palace, the court turns as if to acknowledge an unseen presence looking out from behind the stars. His Majesty extends his 7th serrated pincer out of the ornate robe. Let me reread that. His Majesty extends his 17th serrated pincer out of the ornate robe to signal the start of the show. At the tapping of the conductor's baton, the room falls silent. The curtains float to the sides, and one by one, the actors take their places on the stage. A hunched figure begins the narration, while the veiled audience listens attentively. A great cacophony, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Cacophony is heard from the exits, and a pale, eyeless shape slithers toward the actors, robed in their skin. The proceedings are interrupted by the chamberlain, loudly complaining about the flatworm that has become lodged in his thorax during the meal, and he's subsequently sent to his quarters with a good lashing for all the trouble he has made, and is not able to view the rest of the play. After this, the evening goes smoothly, and I am incited, I think that's supposed to be invited, and I am invited to bed with the court mistress, where she makes great use of her jealous ray. Thoroughly tired and beginning to molt, she dozes off to sleep. I am unable to get comfortable on the writhing young, and instead I opt to fix myself with a glass of warm water. Ew. But when I arrive at the well, who do I see but the chamberlain? He had apparently snuck out of his chamber, dressed in the shed skin of the court mistress, who was going through a period of dermal peeling that had left her skin red and sensitive. I voice my opinion that this is very inconsiderate of her skin mites, but he responds that he makes a better home for them anyways. Several guards appear and click their claws to ask what are we doing out at the well so early in the morning. The pause for some moments to look up into the reddish sky, faintly perceiving some shape beating its membranous wings, shrieking across the dim, cloudy ether, its many claws and legs tucked tightly into its fleshy hide. It swoops down, sinking its sharp mandible spikes deep into the sinewy flesh of one of the guards. It carries the corpse aloft into the dark sky from which it does not reemerge. The remaining guards, now greatly startled, retreat back into the palace. I look across the landscape, watching over the mountains formed over the bodies of the sleeping gods, seeing the deep red sunrise. I hold my hands up to block the light, forgetting again that I don't have any. I shut my eyes to the growing dawn, and the world turns red. There is a metallic pain groan in the air, and something shifts under the soil. They are rising again. We rule now where they ruled once, and they will rule again where we rule now. They have stayed inactive for eons in their fortresses, safe from our rule, but now they awaken once again. The cycle is repeating. Ooh, spooky, spooky, spooky. I really like it. Well, it's a short one, but it's a sweet one, and I give it a fucking 10 out of 10, so you should too. That's it for this video. Like I said, really short, but if you have any that you would like me to read, please drop them in the comments so that I can